30 minutes past the hour 6. You're live here on GHOne TV. This is News Tonight with me, Natalie. A look at our top stories this evening. Galamsey challenges the EC to allow the voters' register be subjected to external audit if it has nothing to hide. As the effects of Galamsey bites harder, Democracy Hub calls for the immediate resignation of Ministers of Lands and Environment. Ahead in business, economist Professor Bokpin predicts doom for any political party that wins election 2024, owing to the current economic climate. And on the foreign front, Islamist militants attack military base in Mali's capital, killing scores of people. We bring you the details of these stories and much more news here on News Tonight. Do stay. This is News Tonight here on GHOne TV. All across the world, this bulletin streams live on Facebook and X at GHOne TV. We get started with health this evening as Health Minister Dr. Bernard Okoboy has revealed that his outfit is collaborating with the Ministry of Employment and Labour Relations to streamline the migration policy to export Ghanaian nurses abroad. According to him, this has become necessary because the country produces more nurses than it requires due to an annual average of 55,000. Dr. Okoboy made these remarks at a press briefing on Wednesday.
Glad that you are employed. So I think when we add all these numbers, there's opportunity. Today is not mainly Agenda 111, although Agenda 111 is also health. I know Dr. Nsiasari and his team have done some presentations, but I just want to quickly say that by the time all those facilities become operational, we are looking at an average of 60,000 Ghanaians working in these over 111 health facilities. Remember, it's not only factories that create jobs. People forget, hospitals create jobs as well. Not only factories. In hospitals, you also create jobs. And so access will be improved, but sustainable jobs would also come along. Migration of health workers. Let me quickly say that anytime you see a Cuban doctor in Ghana, it is the government of Cuba that have sent them here. They have trained enough doctors to keep at home and to give to the rest of the world. At the Ministry of Health, we've done a labor analysis. I'm happy that my director HR is here. The data shows clearly that Ghana is producing more nurses than it requires. We are churning out an average of 55,000 plus nurses annually. Anytime you have more than you need, you have to be innovative and find a way to give opportunities to your nurses. And so at the Ministry of Health, I know some of you are aware that Ghana has nurses in certain countries that have been arranged properly between the government of Ghana and the Republic of Barbados. As we speak, by October ending, the third batch of Ghanaians would leave for Barbados. And so it is our prayer that we quickly, under this government, act to make sure that if you are trained in this country, either you are absorbed internally or you are absorbed externally. And Ghanaians have come to the place where we can take on the world. We should not train to take on only the 16 regions in this country. I'm happy to say that the Republic or the island of Seychelles have come to us. We are working on an MOU They are saying that Ghanaian nurses are doing wonderful in Barbados. And so Jamaica, Seychelles, Germany, UK, all these countries, as we speak, are working with Ghana to make sure that health workers can be properly located in these countries, so that as they reimburse remittances to this country, it can also help our economy to move forward. In fact, at the nursing health training institutions, which is the HTI, a unit under the Ministry of Health, we are also working to revise our curriculum. If a nurse is trained in Ghana, they should be able to sit in a plane with the structure of government of Ghana, and the next day when they arrive in UK, they should start working in their hospitals. Currently, what happens is that any nurse or most nurses who find themselves in other countries have to go to school again for some 6 months or 1 year to be able to adjust. We should get to the place where you can move into other jurisdictions. And by the way, it's not only health workers who are being trained to be fit for the world. Teachers in this country now, if you check with education, are now...
Well, let's stay on this health-related development a while longer and engage with Perpetual Ofori Amanfo, President of the Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association. Good evening and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, as you know, we've had the Minister of Health express the fact that Ghana intends to export more health workers abroad due to this excess number of trainee nurses. As an association, what do you make of this intention?
And thank you very much and good evening to all your listeners. But first of all, kindly note that my name is Perpetual Ofori Amanfo and not Perpetual Ofori Amanfo.
Very well noted. So
the health minister's statement, he made reference to the health market survey that has indicated that we are producing nurses in excess. The 55,000 annually, I'm not too sure whether that is a figure of public sector and private sector combined. What I know is that within the public sector, in terms of the nursing and midwifery training colleges and the universities, we are churning out somewhere around 20,000 nurses on annual basis. And in some years, the figure is higher than that. And in some years, the figure is a little lower than that. As we speak, we have, we recently, about 2 months ago, the Ministry of Finance issued financial clearance to employ the 2020 batch of nurses. As we speak, we still have the 2021-2022 batch of nurses still waiting to be absorbed into the health sector. We also note that there's inequitable distribution of nurses, and therefore, when you move from the tertiary level beyond the regional level to the district and sub-districts, the numbers are not the best, and we don't have the requisite skill mix to provide the care. In fact, as an association, we have supported the Ministry of Health in its engagement with Barbados to actually support nurses who wish to work abroad, especially in Barbados, to go there and work. But the truth of the matter is that the nurses who are going to Barbados, or the nurses that Barbados is coming in for, are nurses who have years of experience, because they don't want to take them there and start training them before they start working. Certainly. You go through a very short period of orientation and then you start working. If they were going to come for the 2021 batch of nurses and 2022 batch of nurses, who are now the stock of nurses that we have, then it will give the government of Ghana some relief. So as the minister mentioned, Jamaica, Seychelles, and other Caribbean countries being interested in taking our nurses, it is a sort of worry, because we cannot allow all our nurses with years of experience,
highly trained nurses,
to be taken away to these countries, because then are we going to be able to achieve...
But Professor, very briefly, for purposes of time, you say we should not allow this. With that being said, how do you feel like this contributes or addresses to employment-related challenges, particularly as it pertains to brain drain? Does it not somewhat help the employment-related challenges of nurses?
That is exactly what I've said, that if they are going to come for the nurses who are at home and not working, and those who don't have years of experience, all well and good, because thousands of them as we speak, are still languishing at home and are not employed. But what I know is that these countries and other high-income earning countries who are interested in taking our nurses are not interested in taking these newly qualified nurses. They are interested in those who have qualified at a degree level and have years of experience. We need to change our level of entry into education and upgrade it to degree. I know some of the schools are doing it now, but we need to intensify that effort. We need to beef up specialized training for our nurses so that we can have higher stock of same as some of them also move abroad. And if we really want to go into exportation of nurses, let's go back to the Philippines, who have done it over years, exporting their nurses to all these high-income earning countries. Let's go and learn from them and do it right like they are doing it, so that we can earn the remittances to the economy as they do in Philippines and other countries.
Perpetual, thank you so much for your time this evening. Perpetual Ofori Ampo for joining us there, president of the Association of Trainee Nurses and Midwives Association, joining us here on News Tonight. Certainly more on that issue subsequently. You're watching News Tonight here on GHOne TV. We bring you Insight next. Here on GHOne TV on Insight this evening. Now, in a nation renowned for its rich heritage and resilient spirit, we are witnessing a betrayal not just of our land but of our very character. Galamsey has become the mirror that reflects our moral decay, a tale where citizens driven by desperation and leaders blinded in indifference and greed conspire in an unspoken pact to ravage the earth that sustains us all. As rivers run muddy and forests fall, the true tragedy is not just the devastation of our environment, but the erosion of our core values. We are people caught in a tragic irony where our leaders' promises of protection are drowned by their inaction, and our collective quest for survival slowly poisons the future we wish to build. When we expect our leaders to be concerned and to act, this is what they rather engage in.
If we are to look and investigate both sides of the house, you have had the opportunity to rule this country before. I can tell you, you polluted the water more than us. You polluted the water more than us. So let's get matters straight. Speaker, we have critical business to prosecute. We have critical businesses to prosecute. And Speaker, you directed in that direction. I think we should stick to it and deal with the businesses at stake. These matters of picking and choosing and then playing to the gallery would not please anybody. Minority leader, I think we got it wrong. But we will be happy, I will be happy to debate you on both sides, the MPP administration and the NDC administration. I will be happy to debate you who has polluted our water bodies and our environment more than the other. So we don't need to belabor the point. Let's proceed and consider the business's schedule. We can make progress.
Yes, well, just like you, I could not believe my ears. If you think the Galamsey menace is not affecting you, then you need to do some rethinking. It's the very reason why we are paying more for water, and very soon we will not have enough. South Africa imports water because of climate change, but here in Ghana, where we have many fresh water bodies, we are rather destroying what we have. It's simply unthinkable. The chaos of Galamsey today is a stark reflection of a country at war with itself. With each illegal mine, we unearth not just gold, but also our greatest impulses, greed, neglect, and the relentless pursuit of profit at the expense of all else. What began as a means for local communities to simply eke out a living has escalated into a national crisis that threatens the very fabric of our society. The history of Galamsey is marred by cycles of promises and failures. Each new initiative to curb it is soon drowned by the flood of illegal operations that persist, emboldened by the complicity of those who should be standing as our guardians. The mercury that's used in these mining processes poison not just the soil and water, but the very soul of our country. Our local farmers are losing their livelihoods as lands become unfit for agriculture, and communities that once thrived are now haunted by the specter of diseases linked to environmental degradation. We spent so much money on drones, Galamsey, and other programs, but despite numerous government interventions, including military operations, the formation of task forces, the menace of Galamsey remains largely unchecked. Each failed attempt to control this situation has only emboldened the miners and their backers, creating a very vicious cycle of destruction that seems impossible to break. President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, whether you believe it or not, your tenure will soon also be remembered as a time when Galamsey went out of control despite your pledge to put your presidency on the line to fight this menace. It is indeed great that we've got CSOs, media, labor unions, and the clergy holding the government's feet to the fire. Let's not tire. We need to keep fighting for the survival of our country today and for the future of our unborn children. The true measure of our nation will not be in the gold that we extract, but in the legacy that we leave behind. It's time to decide which story we want to tell. President Akufo-Addo, do something before your time expires. This is News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Well, let's stay on the damages of Galamsey. Illegal gold mining, known locally as Galamsey, continues to ravage communities across Ghana. But in the small coastal town of Bria, the consequences have become unbearable. Women, children, and the elderly now risk their lives every day searching for the one thing that they can't live without: water. As GH1 News' Alice Ayite reports, the hope of residents for clean water has dried up, just like the taps that once provided a lifeline to these communities.
It begins with a trickle, if it comes at all. In Bria, a small town in Ghana's central region, water, once abundant, is now a precious, fleeting hope. Meet Adjoa Tetewa, a 90-year-old grandmother who, like her neighbors, has been anxiously watching her taps, wondering when or if water will flow again.
Bria ubuotia asasi bia obotia ocheni bura wafa nimu ejapaza insigina manche bina munye mo from mbibisha.
The Ghana Water Company says nearly 60% of this catchment area is clogged with silt, leaving raw water sources inconsumable. This is because illegal mining activities have devastated the Setraheman water treatment plant, cutting off clean water to Bria and several other communities in the central region. Ghana, a major gold producer, is grappling with severe environmental challenges from illegal artisanal mining. While large-scale operations have permits, many small-scale miners do not, causing significant damage to water sources. Many taps in this area have become rusty due to prolonged disuse. But when water does flow, it's only once a week, often at midnight. Residents must stay awake to collect what they can before it stops. Private water vending stations often lead to chaotic scenes with tempers flaring as residents compete for the scarce resource.
We will be sick. The cholera will come inside.
For several months, residents of Bria in the Mfantiman municipality have faced severe water shortage, forcing them to rely on this contaminated water source. While it may seem like a lifeline, it's actually a deadly trap. The water is slowly poisoning adults and children alike, causing irreparable damage to their health. Women and children now trek for kilometers from Bria to this abandoned sand mine, their only available water source. Despite the visible dirt and pollution, they collect it, knowing it is unfit for consumption.
But there's not yet those Kuyan for going to there. If you don't make it on near Sadam and CB do go. Out of him put away the my students now, the body is true. In Soban the mic. Or they one hour fit town had day now, when you miss the sun and Casabana was so me. Not when I done so in 2 class and
this water, some people use it for cooking, washing, drinking, for anything. So when we doesn't come here, we not get water.
She said, I saw why I did quack with Ben. On our bloody Edbano, I did one yantal, it be bogal, and Bobo so my day, you name, you could take it on my farmer. Say, behind pay for the boom, a whole honena, no more farmer no sell, bed no waka.
Experts say chemicals like mercury and cyanide from illegal mining and industrial activities contaminate water, air, and soil, which produce serious health risks.
From I just say a heat. It is Sijaduma, the Mumboban will before and Sana, the Golabo Froba. I am a man before knowing never say. Yama for me now, what about to talk a career in Yama be Basabasa. On the moon soon now, my family will use what we're going into. See, Monsieur the Yarbrow, until upon a chopper. Or the Alba Mamma. Alban got him, the be I am of made one polyclinic. Yes, I want to be a bassa, hospital to a jaw. It was going to Canabaya in Yarasa.
As communities seek alternative sources, they often end up with those contaminated with bacterial pathogens like typhoid. Dr. Maxwell Mante is the medical director at the Bria Polyclinic, which serves over 7,000 people. He says typhoid has become the second most common illness in the area.
They usually present with abdominal problems, which eventually we diagnose as typhoid and then malaria. So our top 2 diseases here are typhoid fever and then malaria. We had the opportunity to speak to some of their opinion leaders, their chiefs and some assembly members, and then we raised this issue. So we advise them that they should desist from drinking from polluted waters. They should at least take pipe-borne water, which is at least treated. And then the open defecation problem, we urge the assembly members to especially take keen interest in that.
The Ghana Water Company has warned that if illegal mining is not kept, more treatment plants, including the Trifuheman, may have to shut down. The government is now under mounting pressure to find a permanent solution to the illegal mining crisis, or could pay the price politically.
mama ya so nta ba wotum wa di bia nwro obotum na wesisi Galamsey fu na momo wonye na osi na politics nte emima ban na se mu wo na menyin pare ya de na anya ode na maka no me fi ruguma ba no fi na me ntum nka ahochi na na ewo mi nti me susu da empanyimfo no tu anomo na se Galamsey no na ore se ada nka yemu wonjai ba ye 1 year anala 2 years yen hwe de se Galamsey no na ore se nsuna yebon se yon na ore se nsuna na yehu
me se aban de sisi ano ye na sesem wo nsusam wo biwa no oye de ma ye babre yes hwe ne yen tumi yen kwakwan tenten yen ka fansu ne yen fa mba aha mo bandam no oye atete nti yesra aban de kwan obafa do ayen so ye be yensu na ye anom ne de bia yen ado no yesra ne babre de ombo ayen
ayi wa parliament wo yesra wo ka kanje yen na akofo ado ye pone chamber yensu ma yen ngre anye wo ba wo mi hwanu no won ka do fi wo parliament on ya bia mbra yensu yen ngre wo so anya po ogre enye so ye bo ogre be ye kokko be tiri wa mbra yensu yen to a be bem
ye kwen to Galamsey nso me abeta na was wa to pipe me abeta na was wa to pipe nso ye hu baby a ofi nya biwa na ye wo ye mepo nti ye hu de Galamsey na ole se another day se Galamsey na so ole se na aba na nka so nhwe no ye mo obeye na ye so ye nwonte nti se de minsu se me dan wa me edwuma aye basa
6 months na yenye nsumpu na yeda ho ye mafuma won mafuma luko school a na mafuma kakama okita Galamsey na wona mkwa ho na ebimpu kalo bobbo na ye hye won nti asampanyimfu da won hye papa won che wo yo won hye biri won ye hye to aba Galamsey no oboto ofiga na mpanyimfu won tu so ofiga na mpanyimfu nti mo bafa mo ba ya fa ho a Galamsey wo be ja tu ma ye nsu papa ya no ma ye tumi ye nya hode ye da to aba mo wan gase ya pa adwuma mo won ye ma ye.
Calls are growing for an immediate ban on illegal mining and increased enforcement of regulations for legal operations. Community-led initiatives to restore and protect local water sources are also being encouraged, but until then, the people of Bria, including Ajwa, the children and the thousands who depend on its dwindling water supply, will continue to pay a heavy price just to quench their thirst. Alice Aite, GHOne News.
Alice Aite's report there, revealing the very devastating impact of Galamsey. Democracy Hub, organizers of the Fix the Country and Occupy Jolobi House protest, are demanding an immediate resignation of Minister for Lands and Natural Resources Samuel Abujinapo, Chief Executive of the Environmental Protection Agency, amongst others. The group has also served notice of its intention to hold a 3-day demonstration at the Jubilee House to compel President Akufo-Addo to declare a state of emergency in the Galamsey menace. Addressing a press conference a while ago, lead convener of Democracy Hub, Na Densua, urged Ghanaians to demand reviews of all mining concessions awarded over the past 5 years.
Holding leadership accountable. We are not just calling for an end to illegal mining. We are calling for the resignation of those who have allowed this crisis to fester. We demand the immediate resignation of the following officials: the Minister for Environment, Science, Technology and Innovation, the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources, the heads of the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, the Minerals Commission and the Forestry Commission. These are the individuals who have failed to protect our environment. We have turned a blind eye to the devastation caused by Galamsey, and we have allowed corruption and greed to destroy our natural resources. They have failed in their duties and they must go. I say to you, rise up, young people of Ghana, rise up and take your place at the forefront of this movement for change. Rise up and demand a government that works for you.
Well, joining us in studio is convener for the Fix the Country movement, Raphael Athol William. Good evening to you. It's good to have you in studio this evening.
Thank you so much.
Now, you and your organization, your group, Democracy Hub, is making an adamant call for the resignation of the lands minister. his deputies as well. Why is it so critical that they resign?
It is very much important, and even when you was actually talking earlier, you made mention of the greater impact that you can even feel it within your voice, that it is really, really devastating that something needs to be done. Why shouldn't it be very much important for us all as citizens to rise up now and say enough is enough? Why must it even be the fix the country or democracy have to do this? We have chiefs, we have, opinion leaders in this country, we have politicians, but they seem not to care. They only speak about this in their rooms with their families and peers, but seems not to care and speak about it, in the public for people to know how important it is for we all to hold our hands at this juncture as Ghanaians and say enough is enough. So I think we need to.
You feel like it's just mere rhetoric. What has been done throughout this period is mere rhetoric, right?
It's not. You even admit to that. Yeah, it's just been talking. We have a president who told us he's going to put his presidency on the line. Absolutely. And as we speak, the president is still.
What message will their resignation send? It certainly wouldn't solve the problem because the problem is huge. But what message will their resignation send, particularly when we are a few months to the elections?
Yes, we are not doing whatever we are doing because of, one, the government, two, an attack to any individual. We are doing this because we need active and proactive leadership. We need people who have been put into office and are willing and even understand the responsibilities of the office they are occupying. Not just people who will be coming and be talking to us all the time. So we are just saying that we need the ministers out. But they failed. How many years now?
They failed in their mandate.
They have failed. Right. We gave them a responsibility and they have failed us and even failed themselves, because history is going to remember them for years. History shall remember them for the kind of ill they've done to even the next generation that will be coming. Tell me if it would take within 5 years or 6 months to clear the water bodies. The environment may be for one way or the other. We have experts, agric students that can help us with researches and grow trees. In fact, we saw the president, announcing and even being active with this Green Ghana project thing. Certainly. But talking about the water bodies, it will take us years.
It will.
History shall remember.
The report done by my colleague Alice just shows the devastating effects of it and the impact it's having on communities and children as well. If government does not heed to your call, what's your next line of action going to be?
It is not our line of action. The action will come from the ordinary Ghanaian when it gets to them deep. Because as we speak, when you're watching the excerpts on video, on TV, social media, you don't feel it. Go to the grounds. Okay?
Go to the community.
I visited Ankobra in certain parts of the western region just last 2 weeks. And it's very painful. I have the video when the woman was actually telling me, even the wind, that is blowing in the community gets their body itchy. These are realities. And you can go to Ankobra and go and research this. If I am lying, I am not somebody that just come and speak. I go on the grounds and make sure that things that we are talking about as Ghanaians, it is really true. I present to people the realities. And I go to them and put myself in their shoes. Go to these communities that has no pipe or any boreholes or whatever. And women, young children that are menstruating, excuse my word, on set. These children or these women, young women and even aged, would have to use this water to cleanse themselves. Tell me if it is not sad.
Pretty much.
You see, and people think that this is something that we should be playing around with. Even our dogs in our homes, the Minister of State in charge of environment and mineral resources, to come and tell us he can feed his dog in the house with any of the water, and I'm going to bring him Ankobra, River Ofe, Kra, for him to feed the dog on camera. For the whole world to see. It is very devastating. And these are the waters. Some of the video even shows that these individuals are drinking.
They're cooking with it, drinking with it, and using it domestically.
Come on. Must it fix the country, or democracy have to do this to call for this uprising?
Raphael, we'd have to wrap it up here. Thank you for your time this evening. Thank you, sir. Raphael Afo William joining us there, convener for the Fix the country movement. Certainly more on this subsequently here on GH1 TV. That wraps up Insight. You're welcome back to News Tonight here on GHOne TV. Next on the bulletin, we bring you Factometer, where we separate facts from fiction. Turning excavators' comments doctored. Amidst the enhancement of technology and the influx of varied artificial intelligence software, public figures and prominent persons all over the world have had to battle instances of fake news, either through video, voice, or picture. Politicians, often after a goof or otherwise, now quickly cling to the excuse of doctoring. One of such instances is the recent statement made by Fifi Boafo, spokesperson of the MPP running mate, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, describing a recent video in circulation of Dr. Opoku Prempeh promising to release some excavators to minors as doctored.
Small scale for Atuabamu, Ama Winnie, Wasa, Buisia, was Oma Winnie sitting in Sia, Wasa, and then also say MPP for Tututia Mama, Obo the children. Catch anything for say, and Tonade, and Chat, and Tonade, and Tonade, and Tonade. Yeah, Tutu Body. That you are excavator, Bemano. Oba Vayajua walk on Sessi, the Mayagua. Obia Vayajua walk. Not come one for the Scandinavia day, NDB, Nana one the Scandinavia day, NDB, not Crony and Scandinavia day in Puntu. And yet no better, said Dr. Mahmoud Baumia. Eba, Obebu small scale.
We played back the audio to Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh's spokesperson yesterday, and this is what he had to say.
Any audio that tells you that he said that seized excavators will be given to the people is not the true reflection of what he said in Bogos.
So your issue is with the fact that there's the word seized in the audio. Is that it?
Seized excavators given to people to go and work is not a statement he made.
Okay, but he said he's going to give the excavators to the minors.
Which excavators was he talking about?
He never mentioned that.
I am telling you that he talked about the fact that you'll be allowed to work. You'll be given, you work within the confines of the law. Is it not surprising to say in one breath that you work within the confines of the law, and in the same breath also say that we encourage you by giving excavators that have been seized because we're doing the illegal thing?
Perhaps, don't you think?
But is this audio extract of the video really doctored? Well, we're joined by Africa Program Manager of human rights organization Witness, that's Inkem Agunwa, who has taken the video through digital verification. Good evening and thank you for joining us here on News Tonight. Now, tell us, what were your findings?
Hello, and thank you for having me today. So this video was brought to our attention and we escalated it to our Deepfakes Rapid Response Force. Just for a bit of context, this response force analyzes some of the most difficult deepfake cases and claims of deepfakes and provides timely assessment to local journalists and fact checkers. It's also important to note that the task force is made up of media forensic experts across the world who use their independent judgment and expertise to mitigate potential crises, promote more equitable access to current detection approaches, and ensure people's rights to reliable information. On this particular video of the vice presidential candidate of the new Patriotic Party, a total of 4 teams reviewed the shared materials and found no evidence of AI manipulation. They all commented on the current state of AI, noting especially that it still cannot effectively generate full body footage from different angles, like the videos that we analyzed, especially because it comes from different angles. AI advancements just is not able to do that right now, because creating multiple fakes with different views that synchronize not just the audio but also lips and hand movement would require substantial resources and very high technical skills. Also, 2 of the teams used AI detection tools in their analysis process, but neither found evidence of AI manipulation.
Very well. Thank you for your time this evening there. That's Nkem Agunwa joining us, serves with witness. Next on News Tonight, we bring you business news. On business this evening, the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, has served notice that the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG, may be on the verge of bankruptcy due to severe financial difficulties. Now, in a letter addressed to the presidency, the energy and finance ministers, as well as other key stakeholders, PURC's executive secretary, Dr. Ismail Aka, highlighted the crisis that is also impacting the operations of the VRA, Volta River Authority, and Gridco, as well as the Bria Power Authority. According to him, these challenges have led to delays in salary payments, difficulties in covering administrative costs, underscoring the urgency for immediate action. Now, despite efforts to improve cash collection through digital and metering programs, as well as significant tariff increases of over 75% since September 2022, ECG's financial instability persists. Now, joining us to discuss this issue is MP for Bongo, that's Edward Bauer. Good evening to you. I believe you're hearing me. Thank you for joining us this evening. Very concerning developments there. Now, tell us, is this in fact the reality on the ground as per operations at ECG? Good evening to you, Ms. Bauer. Are you hearing me? Good evening. Can hear you very clearly. I believe you're hearing me. Now, I'm asking if this is in fact the case on the ground as it pertains to the ECG and PURC warning of ECG's potential bankruptcy.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
Yes, I believe you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Is this in fact the situation on the ground as it stands? PURC warns of ECG's potential bankruptcy, difficulty in paying salaries. Is that in fact the case on the ground as it stands?
I'm sure. Let me see whether I understood what, because there's so much echo from your side. However, if it is about the ECG and then the PURC's letter, is that what you are talking about?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. So basically, the letter from the PURC is nothing surprising. I believe that all keen observers of the power subsector knows that the ECG is the weakest link in that whole industry. Right. In that, whether the generators, whether they are the private sector, that's the IPPs, or the state-owned VRA and Bria for that matter, they generate the power, they give it to Gridco, it transmits it to ECG. ECG is supposed to sell and then collect the money and pay all the players within in the value chain. Unfortunately, ECG, by virtue of its level of losses, and the losses are very huge, because of that, they are unable to really account for the power, and therefore are unable to pay the players upstream. Now, if you listen to the PURC and what the PURC says, it is even a bit more alarming in that if you look at currently the arrangement that has been put in place, the arrangement has been that even though ECG is unable to account for the power that they make, a small amount of money they receive from customer and they can account for, it's supposed to be put in what we call the cash waterfall mechanism, right, and it's used in paying these players. Now, these players are divided into two categories. We have what we call the category A and the category B, or the level A and level B. The level A is made up of the independent power producers, and WAPCO, who transmit power, gas from the west to the east.
Right.
Am I online?
Absolutely, you are. Please carry on.
Okay. Now the challenge is this. If every time the independent power producers invoice ECG, they are unable to pay it, but they came to an agreement with government.
Right.
That said that even though you can't pay us all the money, every month ensure that you give us $47 million. And the $47 million will be shared among us as independent power producers. So that the rest of the amount that you cannot pay, you will restructure it over the years. So you will see that most of them will be paid after this year anyway. They will restructure those debts.
Right.
Unfortunately, ECG, by virtue of the amount of money they receive now, cannot pay the independent power producers the $47 million monthly. And WAPCO that transmits the gas from east to west, from west to east.
Right.
That's the first part. Two, the arrangement has been made in such a way that after they have settled the category A, category A, which is made up of the independent power producers and the West African pipeline company,
right.
They have to settle the category B, and the category B are made up of state-owned institutions.
Right.
So VRA, GHOne, Bria, Ghana.
Very well.
Now, because the money is not even enough to pay the category A, they don't even have to pay the category B, which is made of the VRA, the Bria, and other things that are not gas structure.
Right.
Now, government also, as part of the arrangement, is supposed to be giving around 200 million every month to the cash water, put into the cash water fund mechanism to pay the state-owned agency. Unfortunately, the government is also not paying their part of it. So because of that, now you have Bria is not getting any money. You have GHOne not getting any money. VRA not getting any money. Ghana Gas not getting any money.
Right.
Now, the reason why VRA is still able to pay its workers is because VRA exports some power to their neighboring countries. So they get some money in terms of dollars and they are able to use that to pay.
Right.
But if you take something like we just gives its power to ECG alone. And because ECG is not paying, they cannot pay their workers, and that's why they are going for bank loans and then overdrafts to pay. GHOne, the same thing, cannot pay their workers, and that's why they are going for the same thing. And so ECG is the main issue, and the reason is because ECG is being a shareholder for ECG is government of Ghana. Government of Ghana has refused to invest in ECG, and unfortunately, that is even compounding the problem. And I'll explain to you why.
Right.
Because all of us knew that ECG was the weakest link, we decided to deal with the Americans to get what we call the Compact 2, that's the Millennium Challenge Corporation money.
Right.
The one that came with the 2
Now,
years.
Honorable Edward Bao, thank you. We'd certainly engage subsequently on this issue, but you describe it as nothing surprising for stakeholders in the industry, saying that the government of Ghana has refused to invest in the ECG. Certainly more on that subsequently. That wraps up Business News this evening.
And welcome on to sports, where government of Ghana is considering installing hybrid football pitches at the Accra Sports Stadium, Babayara, and the University of Ghana Stadium, according to a reliable source within the presidency. Now, this comes on the back of CAF's withdrawal. Sports Minister was tasked, that's Mustafa Yusuf, to present a plan for the restoration of the pitches and other infractions at the National Stadium. Now, Mustafa Yusuf, who is Ghana's Sports Minister, who has come under scrutiny, will be making a presentation to the President in the coming days. Sources have revealed to GHOne Sports that he will be recommending installation of hybrid pitches at the Kumasi Stadium, Accra Sports Stadium, and the UG Stadium here in Accra. Of course, to other stories making the rounds in the world of sports, and I can tell you about the launch of a special soccer app to forestall or to bring together footballers, coaches, referees, and also all persons involved in sports to ensure the progression of sports or football in Ghana and, of course, the development in the country.
I see us as the #1 football app in the world, the #1 scouting database in the world. The place where every football fan comes for fun. We want to create a community of football where everyone finds what they are looking for, be it a player who is seeking opportunities or a club that wants to make money from selling his. Ghana is one of the most important markets in African football, right? If you talk about the top African countries, yeah, Ghana will certainly count amongst one of them, including the likes of Nigeria, Cameroon, Senegal recently, or even Ivory Coast. You won't put Ivory Coast and Senegal ahead of Ghana. But what Ghana has always been a leader for is scouting. Yeah, Ghana is the premier scouting market in Africa, and that is why we need to make this scouting process easier. We need to make it easy for clubs within and without Ghana to come to scout players in a more streamlined and
And that's it for sports.
Thank you so much, Benjamin, for the sports news there. And that's how we wrap up with the bulletin this evening. Thank you so much for making the time. It was produced by Abdul Hanan Adam and directed by Daniel. I'm Natalie Fort. Thank you so much for watching. That wraps up News Tonight this evening. Have a lovely evening.